Example number 12. We want to determine whether the following relations represents y as a function of x. If a relation represents a function, we want to find the domain and the range. And then we want to enter our answers in interval notation. Now, if the relation is not a function, then we would say none in a domain in the range answer blanks. So the first thing we need to determine whether it's a function or not. Well, how do we determine whether it's a function or not? Well, we need to see whether it passes the vertical line test, which means that if you put a line through this function here, and you put a line through this function here, it only crosses, no matter where you put that vertical line, through that graph once. So therefore, yes, it is a function. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and delete those just so we can now determine what the domain and range is. So I'm going to first go ahead and find the domain of this function. So if you take a look at this graph has an arrow that keeps extending to the left. So that means it's going to keep going in this direction, okay? Which means that it's going towards negative infinity on the x-axis. And remember that the x-axis represents the domain. So here, you're going to go in this direction. And then right at the top here, you're going to see that there's an open circle. Okay? And then over here, we have a closed circle for the x-axis. And therefore, it's going to continue on to positive infinity, because that's what the graph is doing. It's continuing from there. Now, when we write this in interval notation, we're going from negative infinity. The open circle represents at -2 a parenthesis. And then on this side, we have a closed dot at the value of 2, so we have a bracket, and it's going towards positive infinity. So therefore, the domain of this function is negative infinity to -2, union, bracket 2 to infinity. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to look at the range. Now the range is the y values of the function. So if you take a look here at the top, this is how high it goes in the first part of the graph. It goes to 1. And since it goes to 1, that means it's going to include 1. So we have a bracket. Okay, and it's going all the way down, if you notice the graph is going down, towards negative infinity. So that means here we're going from negative infinity to the value of 1 with a bracket. And now if you take a look again on the y-axis, at 3 we have an open circle. And this continues up and doesn't stop, so that means it's going to go up towards positive infinity. So what that means is we have a parenthesis at 3 going towards positive infinity. So therefore our range starts again on the smallest. So we go negative infinity to positive 1 with a bracket, union, parenthesis 3 to infinity.